Earlier this morning, SoFi launched two new offerings that we've never before talked about on this channel. And it seems with this business that every single week they're releasing new articles, new news pieces with catalysts in them. And in this video, we're going to be talking about these new content releases and how they all contribute to SoFi's wider plan. As with all of my SoFi videos, they're an assortment of news articles, of catalysts, of product offerings that SoFi has recently released. Similarly, this video is going to be split into two portions. Number one is the stock-related actions or the stock performance, and number two is the news catalysts and product launches, which also include the two new pieces today. But before I go into that, I just wanted to take a moment to express that these videos take a ton of time, so if you do enjoy the SoFi content regularly, drop a like, subscribe, and also share this out on social media. So let's start with the first section. This will be stuff that we've mentioned before with regards to the stock movement. I think we all have a pretty good grasp on what is moving SoFi stock, but with the Fed's decision being last week to hike another 75 basis points, all stocks were negatively impacted on the macro, especially because on the macro level, the Fed said that they're committed to reducing inflation even if it crashes the economy, and there's not going to be a pivot anytime soon, not as big as some people were suspecting. And just this news alone has dragged SoFi stock down on a macro level to near all-time lows where it currently sits today. The stock closed today at $5.08. Its bottom was something like $4.82 in that ballpark. This is an updated version of the price to book of SoFi along with many other competitors, and we can see how this price to book ratio has further disintegrated, making this company rare in that it is essentially a value play with how it's trading. However, it's also growing revenue 50% plus. So the underlying business is absolutely crushing it, but the stock is getting crushed. And look, over 2022, the actual stock itself has been driven more so by the macro declines on a blanket, by the rising interest rate environment, by the entire stock market crashing as a whole, as opposed to driven positively by the actual business executing on their catalysts and growing as they have. The business has beaten every single earnings over the past year. They've released product after product, and regardless of all of this positive news, the stock has continued to decline steadily. So there's definitely an opportunity here to take advantage of that. And definitely props to Tanner for putting these visuals together. He runs a channel, talks about SoFi all the time called Future Investing. I'll tag it in the description. So ultimately, this provides an opportunity, right? Since the business is growing fast and yet has a price to book ratio lower than JP Morgan or the Bank of America. And on the actual stock itself, there was a recent article from Investor Place on 5 investors betting big on SoFi stock right now. Now, combing through this article, there's a couple of things that are very vague and some things that are just flat out outdated. I mean, even looking at the title of the article, investors betting big on SoFi. Number 2 is SoftBank, who's been one of the biggest net sellers all year long, which we've talked about. Vanguard added to their position in Q2, as did BlackRock and a couple of institutions that we did mention in a video. I put up a chart, I'll put it up again. The most interesting piece of this article that I found, and look, it's tied with a little bit of hopium, is that Investor Place's senior analyst Luke Lango believes that by 2030, SoFi could be worth $110 billion market cap. Considering that SoFi is like $4.7 billion of market cap today, that's roughly a 22x from today's valuation, giving SoFi a stock price over $100 by 2030. I'm sure every single SoFi investor would love to hear that, but there is a lot that goes into that assumption. So without further ado, let's move into the second part of this video, which is the actual news catalysts and releases from SoFi themselves. Earlier today, SoFi released On The Money, which is a digital content hub that provides news, trends, tips, and more. On The Money includes categories like market news, real estate news, student news, investment strategy, crypto, and their money and life category, which is like a personal finance column. And in addition to this, I also know that SoFi has a blog on their site, and it seems as though this initiative might replace the blog. The vibe here is pretty similar to CNBC in terms of the layout and in terms of the type of content that's offered. Of course, this is free. It's for non-SoFi members as well as SoFi members. Currently, what I'm seeing here is that most of the articles are written by a small handful of contributors, but I expect that to diversify very soon as more content gets uploaded onto this column. In their press release, they highlighted that the goal with On the Money is to have it be sort of a daily destination for members to stay up to date with economic news, with market events, with everything that really affects their personal finances. And each month, they said there's going to be hundreds of new news articles and content published onto this hub. So it seems that content creation and further support of free offering, of course, contributes to SoFi's brand directly and also indirectly to their growth rates. It's good marketing and good publicity for their value proposition as a business and for their mission statement, essentially. On the Galileo front, the second piece of news is that earlier today, Galileo released a brand new website. It looks fantastic. I work in software development, and this website, it looks so clean and so well done. Definitely top of the line in terms of, even if we look at a lot of the competitors or a lot of businesses in the fintech space, this looks top notch. On this website, they highlighted a whole list of clients in this carousel, including Toast, Wave, BitPay, and a whole bunch more. Although I'm not sure that this list is exhaustive of all Galileo clients, I would assume that some of them have NDAs in place that they can't really talk about. From earlier documents, we know that Chime and Robinhood were also clients, although they are not featured on this list, it seems. And look, this website is huge. It was just released today. It has all sorts of little details on products, on the Galileo platform, including a whole bunch of developer documentation and on client partners and case studies. Over the next few days, I'll probably be combing over this website to see if there's any further details that I can find on Galileo that we don't already know about or haven't discussed. But this is also great news because Galileo is essentially refreshed in terms of this rebranding. On the banking front, there has also been rumblings of an increase in the annual percentage yield. If you'll remember, SoFi currently offers 2% APY, although it's not the highest out there. There are some competitors that have also begun raising their rates, leaving many speculators to wonder whether SoFi is going to follow suit and also raise their APY. Basically, the higher the APY, the more return you get from a SoFi checking and savings account, and the more incentivized you become to go and become a banking client of SoFi as opposed to anybody else. If we were to see SoFi raising their APY yet again, it would happen sometime over the next several weeks or month. I would not be surprised personally, and especially because a lot of this is backed by the banking charter, right? This allows them to offer very competitive rates because they're essentially cutting out that middleman and can offer their own services right now from the banking charter. Of course, all of this contributes to SoFi's bottom line and their ability to gain new clients. I'm also doing research for a new video around SoFi Insurance. There's quite a lot actually to unpack on their insurance front, and I don't see it being talked about nearly as much. Hopefully I'll be releasing something around that by the end of the week. If you enjoy this content, once again, please share it out, please like it, and please subscribe for more. I personally did end up buying more SoFi shares yesterday. I think the $5 range is absolutely perfect. You can't really go wrong. I wouldn't be surprised, however, if the stock is to fall to their all-time lows and even break that all-time low and go well into the $4 range. It could happen, and if it does happen, I'll probably end up buying some more. For right now, this is the Fundamentals of Investing podcast. Thank you so much for listening.